Hello, welcome. In this video here, I am going to show you all the different skills you have in Medieval Dynasty and what they do and what is recommended that you pick and use throughout the game. As you can see, my extraction is level 8 right there. I have 12 skill points. It's level 8. Maximum level of your skills is level 10, and this is the experience needed to the next level. Now, another skill here I have at max level 10, no more experience, and you get maximum of 15 skill points to use when you are maxed in a certain category. And as you can see, there are 6 categories with production, survival, diplomacy, farming, hunting, and extraction. Now, what I recommend if you're not max level yet, when you're first starting out, is you take the knowledge skills first and get that more experience to make your life a lot easier in the long run. So you go ahead and you take that. This here skill tree, as you can see, it's a tree, has 4 different tiers. And even on the side there, right here, you see tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3. You cannot get access to tier 2 unless you have one skill in tier 1, and as same thing goes for tier 3. You have to have a skill in tier 2, so you have to pick one of these to get up to tier 3. And of course, these skills are better to have right away. So when you first take your extraction knowledge, you open up tier 2 and Master of Destruction becomes available, and that's what you're going to pick next. But let's go review them all first. So extraction knowledge, you get more experience doing stuff, which is very helpful. Treasure Hunter, like 5% finding more clay when you're digging. It says treasure and items, but it's just clay. You find more clay. You never dig for clay in this game. It's a useless skill. Don't take it. Force of Nature, 5% durability lost on axes. Not useful. You never use it. So out of tier 1 skills, you just use this one here. And the other ones, you can pass on those quite safely. Now in tier 2, Master of Destruction, getting your 50% of your resources back when you destroy something. Now that's very handy, and you should definitely take that one next. And the other one is 5% durability loss with picks and shovels. You don't really need that one either, because you could just build some more, and there's other skills that are more useful. But you have to pick a one from skill 3 next, or you don't have to, but I recommend it because carry weight is a big thing, and Careful Miner is you get extra resources when you're doing things like that. So that's a very good skill too. But Mule, 5k more carrying, is more important than that one. And durability loss for your stamina, for your doing extraction activities, well, that's kind of helpful, but it's not more important than the other ones that are there. Now let's look at Woodcutter's Trance. Well, it's faster cutting of trees. It stacks up to 3 times, and same with the miner, it stacks up to 3 times. These are things that you're going to be doing if you're going to be farming a lot, but you have to go by priority when you level up, and Master of Destruction is very important to get second if you're building stuff. You want to get that extraction knowledge up to 3 as fast as you can, but Mule is more important than that. So you're going to have to pass on that because that 5k carry weight is very important. So you go ahead, and the next few points to put is you max out your carry weight as soon as possible. Now you go to Careful Mining. You want to mine and get more resources, or do you want to level up faster? This is like a 50-50 choice. I would go with extraction first to get that experience so you can get more skill points faster, is max that out, and then maybe go to Careful Mining and get your extra resources. It's only 15% chance, so that's pretty low, and then 30% chance, and then 50% chance to get extra resources. So now I have like 2 skill points left. I only have 8, and then possibly some more to spend later on. But this is what you pick. What you want to pick. What do you want to pick next? None of those ones, of course, and you don't need that. So the next thing I would pick is stamina on your weapon when you're doing things, because this affects mining and trees and everything else you're using for extraction. It uses less stamina. You can get more done without resting, and that will save you time later on. So I'd recommend putting that one up next, and then after that go into like Miner's Trance, because if you're going to be mining lots of stuff, it'll make it faster for you. And wood cutting doesn't really work very well because it doesn't work. You should know that when you're cutting trees down, it'll work, but if you're splitting them up in the logs, it doesn't work for increasing your speed. Now let's go over to hunting. hunting. We start with hunting knowledge, get more experience. Of course, you want that. Steady hand, this is one for your aiming. It goes up by 10% per point. And that's very handy. You know, you can aim better. But now with the crossbows, it's more, you don't need it as much because crossbows are really good at aiming without that. And of course, sneaking. Not very important. But when you pick you got to pick these ones here. You don't really need to pick any of those 2 skills right there to get access to skill level 2. And tracker, inspector mode, that is very important. That's one of the first things you're going to want to get after you put a skill point into hunter's knowledge, of course. And you're going to want to get tracker. That means you can hit Alt and go into inspector mode, and you can see the animals and stuff like that. You can see their bodies. If you kill them, you can't find them. You can see them. You can see their red outline if they're hostile, green if they're not, and you can see better at night for stuff like that. So you definitely want to get tracker as your second pick right away. Now, 10% faster movement while sneaking. If you're doing a lot of sneaking and hunting, you know, less noise and stuff, you can go that way, but that's not really a priority for you. Careful hunter is your next tier up, and you get more meat and stuff like that from animals when you kill them. It's kind of handy, but you don't really do much hunting later on anyways. And durability loss is not something you really are excited about either. And then third pick is Trapping Master. This one is the one that you're going to want to take. Going out and hunting is really, really slow, and trapping guys is very easy, and it comes off really, really fast. And you get just as much experience as trapping a guy as going out and hunting it and skinning it yourself. It's the same experience, and this way you can do it at home, at your own base, at your own time. And so you're going to want to have traps for everything and build them up as much as you can. So of course, your next points you're going to want to spend is putting in a trapping master over the hunting knowledge. It's more important to get these traps out and get your skills up faster. And this basically doubles your trap right away because you can only build like 1. Now you can build 2. And then it goes up by 2 after that. So now you can build 3. Up limit by 3. And then the last one by 5. So you can have 5 traps going up for each animal that you can hunt. Well, not animals that you can hunt, animals that you can trap. Like you can end up trapping rats and birds and rabbits. And of course fish, but I don't recommend building fish traps. And of course tier 4 is, you know, you lose less stamina for aiming, and then faster bow draw for your crossbows. But since now that you have all the other stuff done, you can pick what you want to do is have more resources from actually hunting guys, which doesn't really affect traps. And you don't really have to go out and go hunting meat. That's what your people are for. Your people are for getting, you know, going out hunting for you. You don't really need this for yourself. So I recommend going with some actual combat abilities that you're going to be using, like hunting. So, I mean, actually killing guys, because there's, you know, bandits to kill. And faster crossbow, it would be better to use your skills on. And as you can see, I'm only level 8, so I got more skill points to level up with. So more traps to do. But I would recommend putting up lock and load up and maxing that one up next. Now, you can have less stamina usage for aiming, but if with the crossbow, you don't really use very much anymore anyways. So this means you might want to go to hunting knowledge first. And I'm sorry, you should have picked hunting knowledge before lock and load, of course. After the trapping, finish your hunting knowledge, then you can go to your lock and load. After that, I would recommend going to steady hand. Even though you might want to use bows and crossbows, it does actually help a little bit, but it's not an end game priority. But you end up filling that up next. And of course, you're going to have more skill points later on, and then I would go with less stamina during aiming because the other ones aren't really too helpful. If you want the extra resources, you can put that in there before you're aiming. That's up to you. I recommend not doing that, but you can if you want. Now we go on to farming. This one is maxed out pretty easily. Got the 15 points, and once you're maxed out, you don't really want to use your knowledge. You can, of course, you can do a skill reset by drinking a potion that you make, and after you have your maxed skills, I recommend doing that and get rid of your farmer knowledge skills once you have it. The other is skilled farmers, which is also very important, getting extra crops, and this one goes up to 100%. So this one is actually very useful, getting up to 100% extra crops on your fields. It's kind of like a must-have after you do your farming launch. So when you're doing farming levels up pretty simply. It's pretty easy. I would go with Skilled Farmer right away since it is a tier 1, and I would max this one out right away and forgo the extra experience until you have this mastered. Go by your priorities on what you want, and Skilled Farmer definitely fits the bill for that one there. Careful Farmer, less stamina, less durability loss of your tools. You're not going to really use that one. It's kind of like the last thing you want to pick for thing. Whistleblower is very nice to get. It's for summoning your mount, but you don't get a mount right away. It takes a lot of skill points, not skill points, technology points to actually build your stables. You need 5,000 to build your stables. So you're not going to be using this right away, so you can hold off on this until you go into later things. Farming Master, this is actually the one that you're going to want to take later on too, is less consumption, because farming takes a lot of stamina, and you're going to want to pump this one out pretty much right away. The next one here is Farming Trance. This one here makes it go faster. It doesn't work as well as you might expect in game. When you're doing this and you have your trance going on, you are burning your stamina up so fast you end up just waiting. I tried it out, and it took me longer to actually plow my fields and harvest my stuff with Farming Trance on than without it. Because you do stuff so fast, then you have to wait so much longer to actually get your stamina back. It kind of negated itself. When you're planting your seeds, you have a little bit of time to actually regain your stamina. With the trance on, you don't have any of that downtime to regain your stamina, so you end up burning your stamina a lot faster. And of course, next is Skilled Rider. This one is a nice one to have for your mount, less stamina, so you can run longer. So it's kind of handy to have that one too. Skilled Orchardman, you don't really use your orchard until way later in the game when you can build your tavern. That's at the end. That's 10k skill points just to build your tavern. Then you actually can use your orchard to actually make wine and stuff like that. So this is like a last thing you're going to want to, and it's just 10% more crops in the orchard. Like, apples are cheap and they're not really worth planting, and all those things are really laggy anyways if you have laggy issues. So you're not really going to spend it on Orchardman because it's not really a priority. Carrot and a Stick, 10% carry weight for your mount. Well, that's just very handy. You're going to want that when you have your mount. So that's one of the major priorities you're going to want to get right away. And Night Rider is 10% faster riding. So that one is fast. That one is better than your stamina for your mount, because you want to go faster, then you want to go long. Is for your priorities. But when you're doing this, you're going to want to put in your Skilled Farmer first to get this up to 100. You're going to want to put 3 into here, so I'll stop at 3 for the next one because I'm not going to put 3 into here right now because I don't need it, because I'm maxed out. You don't need this no more. But after you get your 3 in there, you're going to want to go into Farming Master. Less stamina on your activities, because you're going to be farming yourself at the start. So this is what you're going to want to get after you get Skilled Farmer. After you get Farming Knowledge, you're going to go Farming Master. And this one still has a thing to use right now. I don't need it now. At the end of the game, you don't need this when you have your farmer set up and your farmers can do all the work for you. Like at the end of the game, you have 8 workers. You don't need that as much anymore. So to get past tier 2, the next one, I'm going to take the Whistleblower because I used the mount now. And then, of course, you have to take a tier 3 skill and not that one. So you have to choose between Stamina and Orchard. And so, of course, you're going to go with Stamina for tier 3 for your mount. Because those ones there, you don't want to really use them unless you're all in the farming yourself for everything, which I don't recommend you do. I recommend you go with the Skilled Riding next. So you can unlock Carry Weight for your mount, which would be your next priority for end game stuff. And then you max that out so your mount can carry as much as possible. Then you max its speed out so it can go as fast as possible. And I have, you have one more skill point left if you put the 3 in the Farmer Knowledge, but you won't have that because you're not leveled up yet. But this is what I recommend you do. And then you can go back into this one here. Now you have 2 extra skill points, and you can put them wherever you want, which would be, where you want to put your last 2 points. You don't really have to put them anywhere. But I would still put them into less stamina for your activities when you have to do stuff yourselves, because that might happen later on. So as the last part of your skills, put it into your stamina. It would be more important than the other ones. Next is Diplomacy. We'll explain that. And of course, you want your Diplomacy Knowledge up right away for tier 1. This one's pretty simple to put in. Now, here's the tricky part if you want to explain the skills. In this one here, you got Diplomat, 20% more Dynasty reputation. This is handy, but it's not really your most important thing you're looking for at the start of the game or even later in the game, because it does itself for diplomacy. And Romeo, 10% more affection while flirting. That's kind of low. It's kind of not very useful. I wouldn't recommend it. Now, empathy. When you're trying to get your wife, you might want to take this. You can reveal her personality. But I found the personality choices when you're talking to them with their flirting, it doesn't line up with what I think would be an appropriate comment for their personality. So it didn't really even help me very much. Because then you have to just end up looking online for stuff and say, what is this girl like for when I talk to her? Anyway, so it didn't really help me very much. But barter for your tier tier, that one helps more than anything. It helps more than diplomacy knowledge itself. Because when you're going to be selling everything right away, and the 10% better prices gives you more experience when you sell stuff. So the higher level, when you want to raise your diplomacy skill, the higher level of the value of the items that you're selling affects how much experience you get towards your thing. So if you're selling something worth 10 gold and you sell 10 of them, you'll get so much experience. But if you sell one thing worth 100, you'll get more experience than selling those 10 items worth 10 each. Even though it ends up being the same value, the higher value thing gives you more experience in the long run. So when you do the barter skill, you get 10% better prices off of that. You'll be getting more experience off of that than you would get with having diplomacy knowledge. I tested this out, the 5% more experience and 10% better for pricing. It doesn't even add up itself right there because you get 5% more experience. But if we sell things for 10% more, you're getting 10% more experience off your things that you're selling, which gets you better prices. And of course, you're going to want to sell your horses right away and breed them and sell them and wait till they're grown up, of course, and sell them. And then this lowers the price of buying them and selling them, and you make a profit off of them right away. So you have to pick something right here. Of course, you pick one into that right away to open up tier 2, and then you go right into barter and you start maxing that one up. Now you can check out tier 3 first before you decide to go farther into barter, and your NPCs do 5% more production. That is very handy. You're definitely going to want to take that one. You max that one out, but to start off, you're going to want to go with barter first and max that out before you even go into this one here. Hand of the King, you get 25% more, losing reputation with the King's challenges. Well, I don't take challenges unless I'm going to actually be able to finish them in the first place, so this skill is really useless. And losing the reputation doesn't really hurt you very much if you do lose some reputation. You just can get it back later on by finishing the quests. And your reputation doesn't really help you very much since you just max out anyways. You don't really max out, but you don't need more than 5k reputation. So you get that pretty easy just by doing the basic stuff. So you don't really need that. It's just fluff, basically. 10% lower mood reduction. Well, mood goes up and down randomly with the events and stuff like that, and just levels off to whatever you're building. So if they're in a crappy house, they're going to have bad mood. If they have bad no food or water, they're going to go in bad mood. But if you give them a good house and good food, so that their mood is going to go up to a set value. So if you get an effect that lowers your mood, this only lowers that effect by 10%, but eventually it builds back up to its regular average setting. So this is kind of a useless skill to have too. So you're definitely going to want to take Inspired Speech to get onto tier 4 and lower taxes. This is for the end of the game when your taxes are becoming really crazy, and the 10% actually will help you out a little bit and going up to 30% less taxes. And of course, Castleton is the last skill, and these guys, your villagers, use less food and water, and that is also something else you're going to want to have too. So let's go over the priority. After you have your barter is maxed out, you go to your barter, and then the next thing you're going to want to put is you're going to want to max your diplomacy knowledge to get your stuff done faster. I don't need it anymore, but I still had to put it in somewhere, and none of these things were really actually helpful anymore at the end of the game, so I just put it in here for the hell of it. So after barter, 5% more production is better than the other ones, and you got to take something first. So I would go with the 5% better production, and it goes up to 15% is the next thing you would take. And then, of course, the less demand of food and water or taxes. Taxes would be better first for you to take. Lowering your taxes. I got my taxes like 15k a year, and that's kind of hurt. So you're going to want to get your creative accounting done next. And then, of course, this is the next priority. You're going to take less food and water by your village and wood. Not less water. Sorry, less food and wood. This is very handy and helpful to have later on. And of course you max that out. And now you have 2 more skill points to use for whatever you want to use it on, and there is nothing else. See, I could still have diplomacy knowledge because there is nothing else that's going to actually affect anything out here. Never do the challenges. Food reduction is the only really thing you can really take. Just, make them, keep them happier, more happier for a little bit of a time and help their production out. Now we go on to survival. Survival is just basic skills that you get. Now you got survival knowledge. Get more experience. You got intensive, 2% more tolerance on temperature per point. It's really handy for tier 1. Iron leveler. Poison resistance. Never use it. Never get poisoned. Hardly ever eat rotten food. And if you do, your poison goes away naturally by itself. Don't need it. Survival sense is one of those ones you must have. It's another one where you hold Alt and you go into inspector mode. And you can see all the resources on the ground, like the wood and the rocks and the mushrooms and the flowers and all that kind of stuff. So you can pick it up at night or in the daytime if you can't see stuff on all the ground clutter. And the next one is 10% more health. Strong as oak. I never use that. This is like maybe if you later on when they add in armor or something like that and bigger fights where you actually need to fight for things. But as it is, most things will just die with one crossbow, to the head. So having more health is not really important. 10% loss of food and water. This one here I take a lot under the tier 3. You gotta pick one of these skills, but which is on tier 2 is survival sense, of course. And then 10% loss of food and water. This is very handy because it gets kind of annoying drinking all the time and eating all the time to keep up with all your building and stuff like that. It's kind of gets intensive. Alcohol resistance. Never use it. You never need it. You don't really drink very much. My character is drunk right now because I drank the skill potion thing. But that's about it. Water dancer. That one's kind of fun. The 10% movement water is misleading because I think I move a lot faster than 10%. When it's at 30%, I think I'm moving like way faster than 30%. So this skill is actually kind of handy. But of course, tier 4 athlete. This is much better. You can do lots of running around and stuff like that. And athlete is way better for your stamina consumption. And so less damage received. This is, again, something you can pick for later on. You take less damage. It's not something you really need very much, but it is kind of handy, and it's better than the hit points. So when you go into here for this, I would recommend, you're going to want to take survival knowledge to get your experience up faster, and then when you're done, I would just go right into here. I ended up only putting 2 points in the intensive liver. I like to put a couple points in here at the start of the game right away, just because you don't really have access to the best clothing right away, and the temperature can get kind of annoying when you hit the first winter time. You're going to want some skill points in here. And survival knowledge is very, very easy to level up. It's just picking up rocks and sticks off the ground or picking berries. And I didn't try to level this one up at all. It just leveled up so fast by itself. So, and this one here is very handy. And of course, after you get 1 point into either one of those, you pick. Is 50-50 for you. And the next one, of course, you want to pick is that one there as your second point, and then go up that for later on. Now, in tier 3, you have your 3 choices. I would go with survivalist. I would put a point in there right away to get access to tier 4. And then I would go right into athlete next for your next priority is your less stamina for running. Okay, this is going to be used out throughout the game, so I definitely would just go right into there for your next 3 points. Then I would go back down into survivalist again and finish this one off to save yourself some headaches and time. After that, the water dancer is pretty nice because if you're going to just run around in the rivers and stuff like that, and if you're in real trouble and getting chased by a bear or something like that, and you can run into the water, you won't be getting trapped as much. I would go with that one there, and then you got 3 more points, and I would just stick them into this one here, solid as rock, less damage received. I never needed to go farther than 2 points at the start of the game in this one here, intensive. But at the start, you go with survival knowledge to level it up faster if you want, and then redo your talents and take these things later. I would take survival knowledge over the water dancer, of course, and survivalist, of course, if you want to level it up. So you can prioritize putting your points into that one first. I recommend the 2 in there right away, and then the 1 in here, of course. One here, and then I'll just go slower for you. The first point into here is what I recommend. Second point into here. Third point into here. The next 3 points into this one here for your knowledge to level up faster. And then you put 1 into here, and then 3 into there, and then so forth to make it look like this. And I got 3 more points, so let's finish this off. This is what I use at the end of the game for my stuff. And we go over to production. Production is a weird one because you have the 3 different productions, all the same for knowledge and experience. And this will be kind of hard to level up all 3 of them at once and maximize your skill points. But if you have to pick one out of the 2, go with the cooking. Because cooking, you need to sell your food in that season or it loses its durability and therefore loses its value. These ones here, get more experience off these ones here. You can do these ones at any time, but cooking is the one you're going to be using the most at the start of the game and at the end of the game because your cooks are pretty slow and you might want to mass produce stuff for yourself, and the actual speed that you're doing it yourself would help you out. So that's where I put the first point. The next one would be handyman. This is the one that allows you to upgrade your house, and I recommend just going straight to the limestone. Don't bother with the other stuff, just go to the limestone and then this will allow you to do that. So that's what I recommend you take next, so you can actually do that at any time. And then builder, durability on your hammers, that's not really important. Hammers are really easy to build with and make, so you don't really need that one. So I recommend just taking the handyman to get access to the next ones. And this is just, you get the expert versions of the cooking and sewing and the cook and the crafting. And this just makes it 10% faster. And of course you got to pick one to get access to tier 4. So I would pick 1 point into cooking again to make that faster, since that's the one you're going to be using the most. Then the next one, of course, in tier 4 is building trance. This stacks up and makes you build faster. Building doesn't require as much stamina as farming does. So I would put everything you can into building. You're going to be building a lot and you're going to want to get stuff done faster. And this one is less stamina used for that. But you can pick your knowledges up if you want to do that first, but I would recommend going straight into builder's trance and maxing that out first so you can build your stuff a lot faster. Then you can put it into more experience, and if you don't have more experience, you can go into your experts in building master, like less stamina. This one has a minimum effect of like 5% less stamina when you're building. You don't really need it very much. It's kind of helpful, but we have so many expert things to make things faster, and knowledge things that you want to use to level up. Those would be more important for you to actually take. And I would never take that one, and then we go to the experts and faster. And what I do is I go and max out the cooking first, of course, and I would go into this one anyways, just so I can just build forever and not have to worry about any stamina very losses, and because I don't use the other skills. And of course the cooking expert goes up to 30% in their knowledge. And I start off with which one are you going to do the most yourself, crafting or sewing? Which one you want to be faster with is up to you. Smithy is pretty good. Smithy takes a long time to actually do stuff. And the second skill point is just 15%. It's only a 5% gain, so the 10% gain is better. So you can get 10% in both, and then pick which one you want. Like crafting is 5%, and then the next point is 10%. So you don't want to go another 5% where you can get a 10% speed boost off of that. And that's what my skills will look like at the end when you're done. Now, I think the last thing to cover is leveling them up. I might do a whole separate video on how to level them up faster, but production building is when your villagers build stuff and you make stuff out of your building. That's why if you make crafting, you make your tools, you do your sewing kit stuff, and you do your cooking, you'll get experience in this, and it will level up itself for your production. And when you build stuff, so when you're building stuff, you'll get experience in this thing. There's no other fast way to do it. It's just build stuff and everything like that. Survival is, I already told you, you just pick stuff off the ground. Fast way to do it is go out and pick tons of rocks and sticks off the ground. They're the fastest. They all give you the same amount of experience. From that to berries and mushrooms stuff take time to actually harvest, and sticks and rocks just harvest instantly if you want to level that one up. And diplomacy, the best way to do that is actually just sell stuff. The higher the value, the better. This levels up way faster. You can talk to villagers and flirt with all the girls. This gives you some experience too. It's good experience, but it takes a lot of time to actually go through the dialogue. And I end up just burning through it and just hitting, talk, flirt, and then 1, or 2, because you don't want to actually ask them to marry them when your flirting level gets up high enough on them. Ask them to marry you. You don't want that until you pick a wife that you actually want to have as a default. But selling your stuff, that's why I recommend building extra stables and then selling horses. They have the highest value. You can end up selling them for a big amount of money. I forget the amount, 5,800 I think, or something like that. But you sell your horse when it's grown and you get huge chunks, and you level up your diplomacy skill very fast selling your farm animals that way. And farming is very easy to level up. Everything you do just gives you experience. And of course, the more value of the thing that you're doing, you get more experience on. So if you're making farm seed for your animals, you're making feed for them, you'll get more experience than you do than processing fertilizer. But processing fertilizer is something you're going to be doing a lot of. So I recommend when you're going to, if you want to get stuff before you get your pig farm, is just buy the crap and then process it into fertilizer yourself and get all the experience that way from doing that. And of course, all the other farming activities, it's very easy to level up. And hunting, of course, running around and hunting and leveling up is kind of a pain. As you see, that's why I'm only level 8. I don't run around and hunt stuff. I don't need to go out and get food. And this is just all basically experience off of trap. That's why you go in the trapping master right away. You build your traps at your base and you just keep refilling them. You can get your food that way. You get more than enough meat and resources off your traps. And it's really simple and easy to farm up your hunting skill that way. And extraction is, of course, cutting down trees. A thing to note on leveling up your extraction, the mining different ores is all the same experience. So there's no extra value in mining iron versus mining a rock in the field. It's the same experience and it's very slow. It's not very effective. The fastest way to do it is to mine trees. And of course, the trees do have a different value because the regular trees just have dropped 2 logs, give you, I think it's 4.6 experience when your extraction knowledge is maxed out at 3 here. And if you harvest a maple tree that gives you 4 logs, you get twice of that. And of course, the cedar is in between with the 3 logs. So if you're going to farm up and get your extraction up there, farm the big maple trees and get the 4 logs. That gives you the most experience. If you want to do an easier way, is have your town make a ton of logs, and then at the end of the season, you take all of the logs and you move them towards your mill, and right at the end of the season, you just take your stack of 1,000 or 2,000 logs and turn them all into planks yourself. Each plank you make gives you an experience point, or a half, or something like that. But anyway, it's an easy way to level up your extraction without actually doing anything. You just sit there and level and process a whole bunch of your logs. Planks are they have the most value out of the things that you can do in your hut. And that will give you experience in your extraction skill. That's one of the tips I'm going to put in my tips and tricks videos. That's going to be in there, because that's really handy. Just having your guys, don't have them make planks for you. Just have them make the logs, and you turn them into planks yourself at the end of the season, where the time freezes and you don't lose your food and water bar, and you can do as much as you want and come back an hour or 2 hours later and have your 1,000, 2,000 planks sitting there, and you can't move and you have to drop them and all that kind of stuff. But that is a good way to get extra experience in this. And of course, it just takes time, and that's why you got to do that. So I hope you learned everything you can about all the skills that you can do and how to level them up the best way, and your priorities that you need to take, that you should be taking, or I recommend you should take. I don't want to tell you what to do. I'm just going to recommend it. This is what I recommend you do with your skills and how to level them up and everything like that. So this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching.